Hello, friend. Carrie here. I have a message today for you of support. If this reading found you, it's very likely that you are somebody who has been building something in your life for yourself, a vision, a future, so that way you can have a measure of independence, that comfort and support within your life, right? You've been operating from a more masculine principle for a little bit, whether you're man, woman, non-binary, whoever you are, regardless of gender, you've been activating this more, direct planning structure kind of, type of an energy in order to, build the future that you want. And you're certainly making progress, but you want to be able to get into this feminine energy. You've been wanting to soften for a little bit now to be able to be more receptive, to allow the blessings of the universe to kind of naturally flow into your life, right? In fact, part of your goal for the reason that you want to build this thing for yourself is that ease, that comfort, and safety for you to be able to relax into that feminine, kind of more receptive type of an energy, right? And regardless of the outside circumstances you have in your life, you are getting to this point where you are beginning to soften, right? Because even if, some of the support that you've been experiencing in your life hasn't been as blatant as you would like, it has been enough, visible for you that you're starting to realize that you do have help, you do have support. And the universe has seen, the universe has heard you. It recognizes the energy you're putting out and what you want, and now it's responding. All right, guiding our reading today, we have He of the Fiery Sword. He of the Fiery Sword is that primary masculine principle that, the God force, that, all the images of divinity that we see as a masculine individual stem from. Starting out, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So this is, you are at a turning point in your life, right? You are experiencing changes. You've come to this point where you have this more centered quality about you, or you have the ability to stay on top regardless of the changes that are going on outside of your life. This is this kind of emotional, mental, and energetic sovereignty that you are developing within yourself, or that you have developed it within yourself, right? You've mastered a certain amount of your energies that allow you to create what you want. We have the Nine of Pentacles. Now, when you think of the Nine of Pentacles, you have your self-made woman, your self-made man, somebody who has put in effort, taken time, energy, practice, attention to create the reality that they want for themselves, okay? Within this deck, the Nine of Pentacles, this fairy here, she has her two mouse friends. These mice have been with her for a little bit now. The story was, she had set off into, the woods on an adventure. She got lost and it returned to her old community. But she's like, I can support myself. She grows food and, she's getting confident, a little bit smug in, the food she has, and it gets stolen. And these two mice help her out. And they end up actually forming a very, beautiful and strong friendship. She teaches them how to weave baskets. They share with her, they get ideas from her and use her basket weaving techniques to improve their nest. And they build this home together, right? So even though you have been this single individual building for yourself, you are building because you want something you can share with others. Okay. Your energy has been really building and radiating at this time in your life. You've come into this sun energy. Now, when we're looking at the sun here, usually you would have like the naked baby riding the horse, but we have the sun here and then his mother, which would be typically your Queen of Wands in your Rider-Waite-Smith deck. The Queen of Wands is a little different within this deck, but we still have the same energy, right? You have something new, this creative project, or even your own energy, your own just beauty, creativity, the childlike energy that you've come back into, that natural joy, right? And you want this support. You want that kind of nurturing support, that you want the universe to be able to cradle you and care for you and take care of you. Like I said, you want this feminine receptivity to allow the blessings to come into you. So you've been cultivating this energy, and cultivating this energy, opening your heart, is what's allowing you to soften in. And speaking of opening your heart, we have the Ace of Cups. This is very much the heart opening, the emotional outpouring, the sweetness, the nectar overflowing from this energy center within you. You now have this sweetness that naturally is more attractive to other individuals, and this actually helps to draw in the support that you're looking for. Not directly in the sense of like you're going out there and you're like, I have to get it, but just in the sense of how, like a flower naturally attracts bees because it's sweetness, and then the bees help the flowers to be able to propagate, right? And so you have the Seven of Pentacles. You would think in the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Seven of Pentacles, you see this farmer watching his crops growing. Okay, here we have the young fairy after she had met, her mouse friends, and this is where she's teaching them, the basket weaving skills. And, this comes in from, like taking the skills that you have and using them to create the reality you want, right? That cultivation. You now are starting to see the thing that you're building for your life growing. It's building, correct? You've been nurturing it, you've been watering it. When we come into this Seven of Swords, in this deck, the Swords suit, there's this story, these two young fairy girls who, they have this rose garden and they discover this beautiful blue rose. It's, it's very extra fragrant, it's magical, and they take care of it for a little while, and they're doing okay, but eventually what happens is it wilts, and they don't know what to do, they don't know how to take care of it, and they decide, well, what if we go to the queen and ask her for help? Surely she would know. So they go to the queen and they ask her for help, and the queen agrees, I'll help you. And she comes to their garden, and she's pouring in all this energy, all this life, this magic, and the rose revives. But what she's not noticing is this garden growing up around her, which will, by the Eight of Swords, be wrapped around her. You have your classic, Eight of Swords type of situation. But what we're looking at here is because all this incredibly powerful magic energy is being poured into this rose, this special rose, the rest of the garden's getting very thick, very robust, very overgrown. You can see these thorns are quite large and red, and it's torn her dress, and she hasn't noticed. So you have been creating certain situations in your life by accident as a result of the energy that you're putting in. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Because you're dredging up old energies that would not support the life you're creating for yourself, right? In order to be able to cleanse them out. But you're doing it in fast forward. You're doing it very intensely, as a matter of fact, with the Eight of Wands. You want rapid progress, right? You have been wanting to move quickly. And, there's no blame because you're excited about the future. You're really anticipating something fantastic for yourself. And you want to get out of the 9-to-5 situation that you're in into some sort of security, independence, right? You're excited. You want to move. And so you're putting all this energy in. But we need to approach this with the energy of temperance, okay? You have all this passion, you have all this energy, but it's wild. It just goes all over the place, right? And so you want to take that energy out of one vessel, pour it into another, back and forth between the two cups. Knowing that the process to create the experience you want, to create the reality you want, is a continuous work, right? If you were to instantly get the thing you wanted right now, you could possibly burn out. You could possibly not be prepared to support it. But by doing the work, by doing the emotional alchemy, the mental alchemy, putting in that work, you come into this Queen of Pentacles energy. Now, the Queen of Pentacles, she is the correct one to be, asking for help with growing a garden. She knows the proper amount of care, the proper amount of water, nurturing, required in order to create something, to build a foundation, to build a life that's supportive and nurturing. If we look at the thorns on her blackberry vines compared to the thorns here, right? Yes, life still has certain, little moments of pain that might prick you here and there. But if you're going at a more sustainable pace with what you're wanting to create for yourself, they're much smaller, much easier to deal with. It doesn't become overgrown. You can sit comfortably. You have the fruit of your efforts. Okay, so you want to try to get out of this very intense, high-focused energy, which while it will certainly get you where you're going, it causes a lot more difficulty along the way than necessary. You want to get into this Queen of Pentacles, the self-care queen, right? Take that time to put care into yourself. You don't always have to be go, go, go. Now, you're starting to slow down, you're putting in the self-care, and then somebody pops in. The Knight of Cups, the romantic potential. Somebody approaches you and they, they're interested in you. They notice the, that sunny energy, that disposition you have, the love, the sweetness dripping from your heart. Okay. You have this new romantic potential. And the thing about this romantic potential, they are somebody who has a certain level of self-mastery. You have the Emperor, okay? When we think of the Emperor, he is all the kings. He knows how to, get things done. He knows how to delegate. He is fair. He listens to others. He understands and weighs, the balance. And he's really good at bringing out the best in others. This romantic potential, this person coming in, whether they're male, female, whoever they are, they have this Emperor energy in that sense of that level of self-mastery and understanding that they can use to support you, that they can use to support others. They have a good enough understanding of how things work that they can, be able to help you get to where you're going. And you come to this Chariot, right? When we think about the Chariot and the Rider-Waite-Smith, deck, the Charioteer is somebody who has just left this city that death has swept through. You've come out of an old situation in life, and you stop and you pause for a moment, right? Or this could be talking about this dynamic, this balance between the masculine and feminine energy, which is pretty much more where I'm going with this. The support you are getting that's being offered to you is going to be able to help you get to where you're going more easily, right? You've been in that masculine energy. You want to be able to rest in the feminine and have somebody else kind of step into that masculine. And they are stepping in. They're offering, hey, let me help you. Let's be partners on this. We have the Two of Wands here, these two young fairy boys, starting out on a new adventure, setting out, the world is at their fingertips, and they're like, hey, let's do this together. Let's, head out and adventure together. I got your back, you got mine. And this is really where this dynamic can come in. Instead of you having to just have that, feminine and masculine balance within yourself, which you do, you also have the outer experience, outer expression of it now coming in with somebody else. And this individual wants to help you to grow your dreams, okay? This Ace of Swords. The sword here, this key of the fiery sword. Putting their own energy into your project, into this rose, right? Your special rose garden. But because you've learned not to rush and you're allowing somebody to come in with just that right balance, that right clarity, and that right focus, this rose is blooming, but the rest of the garden's not overgrown. It's not, going everywhere or not causing any difficulties and problems. So this balance that is being achieved with the help of another person is going to help you accomplish your dreams and your goals successfully in a way that doesn't end up causing other imbalances. And from that, you move into the Ten of Pentacles, right? You were in that Nine of Pentacles, the self-made individual, and you wanted to have somebody to share it with. And now you do. Now you have somebody who, you have the dreams, you have the, the things you built your home, the nest together. You have all the fruits of your efforts that you share together. You have your company together, all the beautiful possibilities. This is that legacy energy when we're talking about pentacles. This could be financial wealth, like true wealth, not just like a little bit of extra money, but like never have to work for somebody else again money. If you want to do a thing, you can do it money. If you want to bless somebody else, you can do it money. And this comes about through the teamwork. This comes about through the effort. You have a dream. They are on board with the dream because they have the dream. Each of you, providing, strengths where the other person's weaknesses are, and that dynamic that's created, right? And this is very helpful because sometimes you tend to get into this Nine of Wands energy, right? You have this incredibly powerful dream, right? That Eight of Wands, this energy, this vitality that you took off. And you come to realize that, like, sometimes when you're not careful, that this energy can be destructive, right? When we're talking about that rose garden with the overgrown vines. You have this passion, and sometimes you need to temper that passion. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but what we're getting here is this Six of Wands, right? When the boys, they have this egg, and it finally hatches, he's super excited, it's like all the potential, we should keep this little dragon. And then this guy here, he's kind of looking at him like, hey, bud, this is not a good idea. Or, hey, we need to be smart about this. We need to be wise about this. The person coming in to help you, they can see your blind spots. When you get super excited and you're super, ready to go, and you've got this little kind of, dream here, they definitely want to help you, but they also kind of help ground you, bring you back to the reality of, okay, where are we at right now? Let's not overextend ourselves. Let's handle what we can, and let's grow at a healthy pace. And that is where justice comes in, right? Justice is blind. Like I said, you have your blind spots. They have their blind spots. And you both help each other with that, right? And then this kind of helps you operate in a more balanced way, right? If you're operating in a more balanced frame, a more balanced energy, you're going to be able to, stay the course more successfully. You won't be easily, emotionally set off when things don't go your way, or, you won't end up way high up in the clouds when, something does go your way. Yes, you can enjoy and you can celebrate, but you don't lose yourself. This person, this partner, this friend, this lover, whoever they are, helps you to maintain this balance. Okay. You have this Knave of Swords energy. You are the Page of Swords in this. You're very intelligent. The Page of Swords is incredibly smart. They're very good at theory, ideas of like how to do something, and they're ready to jump in. You are ready to jump in. You have knowledge. You've learned a lot, and you jump in, and then you find sometimes it's a little bit more difficult than you expected, or maybe there's things you didn't anticipate. But the other person, they are this knave of wands, right? They just as much want to go on the journey, but he's sitting here contemplating, not in the in this Seven of Cups sense, looking in all the different possibilities. What do I want? I could go adventure, I could go for money, I could go for romance, this. No, he knows where he wants to go, but he's considering how to get there, right? You're looking at this trail up the mountain, and there's like, okay, well, if we prepare, we might want to bring water along the way, snacks, whatever. This is the energy, and they can help you solve problems, right? So you jump into something, and maybe your idea that in theory should have worked didn't quite work out the way you wanted it to, but they also, they're pretty good at problem solving, so they're going to help you along the way with that. Having somebody, to work on solving issues with, the two heads are better than one kind of energy, right? And they really, really, really want this to succeed just as much as you do. Remember, I was talking about the garden that these two fairy girls had, and the blue rose that they were doing okay with at first, and then it wilts, and they're like, what do we do, right? Whenever your projects don't go the way you anticipate them to, this team you have, this partnership you have, you can work together to go, okay, well, how can we solve this? What is our solution? Hopefully this reading has been encouraging for you, and you're seeing that you have the support you need. If you do not yet physically see the person that is there to offer you support, they are coming in. If this reading has been of value for you, I would absolutely love it if you would like the video. Go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section for me. Don't know what to comment? Leave just a simple little message for the algorithm, or you could drop me a sunflower emoji. Sunflower is a spiritual guide of mine that'll let me know you see me, and that'll let YouTube's algorithm know that you want other people to see me as well. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, please go ahead and subscribe. Head into my channel, find a video that resonates with you, and I will see you in the next one.